Hey guys, welcome to the Sit-Down. Ryan Mayer here alongside Chael, the American gangster Sonnen. He's got a big bout coming up this weekend, Bellator 208 at NYCB Live, home of Nassau Veterans Coliseum against Fedor Emelianenko. And this, of course, the Grand Prix semifinals. So first off, just how's everything been going? How's the training?
Yeah, so training was good. Worked really hard, feel good. That's it, man. I never know how these fights are. What's the difference? Train hard, don't train hard. You know, anybody can train and get ready for a fight. A real man just shows up. just to clear that up.
Fair enough, fair enough. So you got Fedor coming up this weekend. Just from a perspective of looking at him, what do you think of his career? I know there's been some shots traded back and forth in the build-up.
Yeah, well, you know, I think he had a really good career. I wouldn't try to take that from him. I think, you know, he got an early start. I think that he helped to really bring attention to the sport, particularly to his country. I think he was very helpful.
Now, for you, you're coming in on a 2-fight winning streak here in Bellator. So just how you've been feeling lately? It seems like things have really been going your way as of late.
Yeah, so I feel pretty good. I mean, I can tell you this, for some of my best performances when I felt my worst. So, you know, I never really care about that. I think he's got some tools that, you know, I need to avoid. And I got some places I want to put him in the fight, too. So, it ain't rocket science. It's just an ass whipping contest.
Right. Now, when you're coming into this match, obviously a spot in the finals in the Grand Prix on the line. For you, how important would it be to have that opportunity to compete for the final here in Bellator? Yeah.
I mean, it's a big deal. Grand Prix tournaments are hard to come by, particularly in this sport. And there's no competitive architecture in combat. Boxing's guilty of it. We're guilty of it. So when you put a tournament together, it brings meaning. There's no politics. There's no disputing it once it's done. Whoever gets their hand raised, everybody has to stand back and look at it and say, that guy's the best.
Now, speaking of standing back and saying that guy's the best, this past weekend, obviously a big fight in the MMA world between Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov. So just what did you think of?
Good job on the last
Thank you. I've been practicing that on the way coming in, right?
Good job.
So just what did you think of the events of this past weekend and everything that transpired?
I had a lot of fun. That was a good fight. The best fight was the co-main event, Ferguson versus Pettis. I had a lot of fun. I thought the atmosphere was great for it. I like the drama. The punches and the kicks aren't enough for me. I need something else. I thought there was a good storyline there, and they set a storyline for a rematch. For a rematch, if they want to do it.
Right. So everything that happens after the fight is, of course, the talk of the world since. Just what do you think is going to happen, if anything, to Nurmagomedov afterwards?
Oh, well, he's in big trouble. So the police have let it go, which is the good news. They took everybody into custody, they handcuffed, they let him go. So now he has to deal with the commission. And, you know, Dana White will largely just let the commission handle this and live with what the result is. But it's not going to be good. They're going to take, you know, 20% of his purse, I'm sure, which represents $400,000. They're going to suspend him for a minimum. I mean, a best case scenario, 6 months, but most likely a year, which will then cost him his championship. It's not going to be great for Khabib.
Now, for you, just you've been in this fight game for a long time, coming up on 20 years now. You've been fighting since you were 19. Just as you've seen the progression of the sport to get to where we are today, what do you think's changed the most?
Well, you know, we had regulation, we had rules, we had fans, understanding networks, exposure. I mean, it's changed so much. I can remember the first fight I had. It was so exciting. There was 200 people there, and I mean, that was a huge crowd for me. I grew up as a wrestler, and I'd never been in front of so many people before. So, you know, that's changed. I didn't see that coming. I didn't think the sport was going to grow out of those ages. I didn't think that people were going to accept it. At that time, people had said it was barbaric. Well, those people were right. It is barbaric. If this isn't barbaric, I don't have the foggiest idea what is. You got two half-naked men slugging it out for a paycheck and the applause of a drunken audience.
Right.
But eventually people realize you don't have to apologize for doing something barbaric. It's a sport, and if two guys say they want to do it, put them in there.
Yeah, and to that point, you mentioned everybody wondering, is it too barbaric? What do you think it is about this sport as it grows in popularity that really taps into something with people that they're able to connect with these two guys that are in the ring slugging it out for 15 minutes or 20 minutes during the course of a bout.
Yeah, I can only guess. I can tell you, for myself as a fan, when you have two guys that want to go there and do something, and they worked hard for it, and they both think they can beat the other one, I think there's something compelling about that. And the rules are also pretty simplistic, too.
Right.
I've never seen, say, a soccer game by example. I think I know the rules. You don't touch the ball, and you kick it in that hole. I think I get it, but for sure I understand fighting, and
right.
for sure other people understand it. So I think it's something that a casual fan could stumble across and understand what's happening.
Now, for you, as you get to the later stages of your career here in the game, I'm sure there are guys coming up to you all the time that are just trying to break in, that are asking you for advice or what path you think they should take in their career. What's your biggest piece of advice for young fighters?
You're very good, by the way. I have to tell you, I do interviews a lot. The other guy, he doesn't know what we're talking about. Somebody tells him, oh, you get some ratings with this guy. They have me in the chair. You follow the sport.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I hope you have a meaningful place in the sport for a long time. But, if I was to encourage somebody, an athlete who's getting in the sport, I would just encourage them to find the right coach, find a coach they trust, find a gym, and go every day. I find that to be it's a race. It's a race to the top. And I've seen a lot of guys get there and beat competition that was better than them just because they were willing to hang in longer than the other guy. Right. I've seen that in many walks of my life. But in this sport particularly, I think if you can find a place that you can show up every day and get 1 degree better, over time, you're going to have some success. And
you're a guy that's had plenty of success during the course of his career. You've had those really high moments and some low moments as well. For you, just as you look at your career now, obviously you're not retiring or anything along those lines, but what stands out to you the most, maybe that you're most proud of so far of what you've accomplished?
Oh, it was my best performance.
Sure.
I fought a guy named Yushin Okami. He was ranked number 1 contender in the world at the time. I was brought in and supposed to get beat up by him. I thought I had a really good performance. Very good friends with Yushin to this day, but that was the performance that I was most proud of. But, the thing that I've enjoyed the most is I build relationships, and, I made some friends, and I go to the gym every day, and I see these guys, and this is who I visit with and hang out with and socialize with. So I think that's what's kept me in the sport more than anything else. Right. And you talk about some of those relationships that you've built over the course of time. What's maybe one of those guys that you've clicked with the most, even if you've had to, going into a fight, sell it as, all right, we really don't like each other? Yeah, well, I've never sold anything. I've never sold anything. I pick opponents that I specifically do not like. So fair enough. Yeah, I don't manufacture conflict, but I do have a different approach to that. There are some guys that think you should bow and show respect. I don't know a damn thing about it. There's some people that call this mixed martial arts. I am not a mixed martial artist, and I'm the greatest to have ever done this. I'm a cage fighter, and there's a significant difference. I don't see any reason to make believe that we get along if we don't. So I don't sell anything to anybody, but I do present to the audience, and I will tell the guy the truth, which is, I don't like you. Fair enough. So just in the fight game overall, obviously you come across some of those guys that do sell things and do put up a little bit of a front. And I was reading in the come up to this bout against Fedor Emelianenko, you see the humble side of him as maybe a little bit of that, putting on a show, putting on a performance for the public. Why do you think that is? Well, I mean, I think it's a gimmick. I don't know Fedor. I don't like Fedor. I don't not like Fedor. I don't know Fedor, but neither does anybody else. And when I have to walk around and hear about what a great guy Fedor is because he's packing a Bible with him somewhere, doesn't say 2 words. My dog doesn't talk. I think my dog's a nice animal, but I don't know. We don't actually communicate. I have just decided to apply a personality to him. It's the same thing with Fedor. He doesn't come out and say anything. I don't even know if he's reading that and stares at it all day long, and people want to make believe he's a great guy. Maybe he is a great guy, but you don't know. You don't know. If a guy's not willing to come out and speak to you, he just sits there like a lump on a log, has an interpreter. It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing, and that's not on him. That's a weird thing on the public to just assign not only a personality but a positive one. You guys are a bunch of weirdos. Now, obviously, as you've shown here and as you've shown throughout your career, you're a very good and gregarious talker. You love to get out there. You're not afraid to show your opinion on anybody or anything within the sport. For you, you've done plenty of commentary. You've had these opportunities outside the ring, movies, TV. Do you see where do you see that next career after you're done with fighting? For me, I'm going to stay involved in the sport as long as I can. I love to participate. I enjoy the sport a lot. It's this sport and amateur wrestling, they're the only 2 sports that I know. So I'll participate on whatever level I can. It is hard to participate in this sport if you're not in there competing.
Right.
There's just only so many rules that you can do. So, you know, my career started as a fan, where I was just buying the shows and sitting home and watching them and reading about it, looking forward to the next one, and that's how my career will end, as a fan.
Fair enough. So as you come into Saturday's bout, the final thing I have for you, I know you really like going into these matches, giving predictions, I'm sure, but just what's your prediction for Saturday?
I will tell you this. He can beat me, but I can beat him too. And I've never walked into a fight where I knew I was going to win. That's what a bully does. I would never fight someone if I knew I could beat. Fedor can beat me. He can defend himself, but I can beat him too. And the odds makers think he's a sizable favorite. But my last 11 fights were all world champions, and I took out 9 of them, so I don't see why he'll be any different.
There you have it. Chael Sonnen coming up this weekend, Saturday at NYCB Live. He takes on Fedor Emelianenko. Chael, thanks again for the time.
You're the man. I got to tell you, this was fun. You know your stuff. Thank you,
I appreciate it.
buddy.
I appreciate it. We'll see you next time on the Sit Down.